Are you tired of wasting your time on useless augments in Fortnite? Or maybe you want to know which ones are overpowered so you can dominate the competition? Well, you've come to the right place. In this video, I'll be revealing the ultimate tier list of all augments introduced in Chapter 4 to give you the winning edge. And let me tell you, some of my choices will surprise you. Let's go! With First Assault, the first bullet in the magazine of your assault rifle deals bonus damage. Fair to say we all run one AR every game, right? Make sure your AR is reloaded for this augment to take effect. If you're a veteran in Fortnite, I'm sure your AR are always reloaded anyway. Depending on the gun you're using, you'll get a +4, +5 bonus damage on your first hit, and that can ultimately make the difference when fighting very good players. First Assault is an augment I use quite often. I'm gonna put it easily in the A category. Do you agree? With Demolitions Munitions, objects you destroy have a chance to drop explosive. Seriously, are you ever using this augment at all? It's clearly not very useful and doesn't apply to common scenarios in the game, so I'm always skipping this augment when I see it. Maybe I'm missing out on something, let me know. It's a no-brainer, this one belongs to the D category. With Dignified finish, eliminations refresh your kinetic blade dash cooldown. Let's start by saying that the cooldown is 10 seconds anyway, so you don't have to wait for too long anyway. Plus, when you just got a kill, you typically don't really need to have +1 dash because the job is already done, you know what I mean? I do not see how players can truly benefit from this augment and actually find scenarios where it's useful. Dignified finish is overrated and should go to C. Next is light fingers. Weapons using light ammo reload faster, pretty straightforward. Most players will use a pistol or a SMG or both, making this augment quite useful. The number of times you have to reload is actually very high in a normal game, especially if you make it all the way through. In the combat category, light fingers is one of the best to choose, so that's why I'm adding it in S. Woohoo! Let's go with Rifle Recycle next. Weapons using medium ammo have a chance to not consume ammo. After multiple usage of this augment, I did not find many instances where the ammo wasn't consumed. Most of the time, the effect won't kick in. That's the reason why I don't use it that much, but maybe you are? Personally, I feel like it's not useful at all, putting it in the D category. With both specialists, both draw and reload faster, and you regenerate arrows over time with this augment. But does it work as advertised? Yes, your arrows will regen over time very consistently, so when you have a bow in your inventory, it's very useful. For some reason, I do not receive this augment a lot. Also, the downside is the fact that most players do not use the bow in the current meta. So this is why I'm adding both specialists at B. With Shotgun Recycle, shotguns have a chance not to consume ammo, just like the Rifle Recycle. It's a very skippable perk in my opinion, and I truly didn't find a valid reason why I should use it. That's why Shotgun Recycle goes to D. At the time of recording, this exotic grab bag was just vaulted, but I still want to give you insights on all augments that did exist. Receiving a random high-stat exotic was pretty cool and overpowered. There's not much debate to have here. It belongs to the S tier easily because it's one of the strongest in the combat category. The Sniper Surplus augment, which gives you 1 extra ammo in their magazine, was also just vaulted, but was it worth it? The only available sniper at the time was the Heavy Sniper, and it was cool to fire 2 shots before fully reloading. On the other hand, I cannot say I find it very useful in most cases, or maybe it's because I just suck with snipers. I'm still going to put this one in the C category. Rift-Jector seat. This one is really annoying, don't you think? Basically, whenever your shield breaks, you're rifted into the sky. It acts as an extra layer of protection to prevent you from dying, but it's also a double-edged sword. Let me explain. When you're playing in highly skilled lobbies, after you rift, you're most likely going to be beamed out of the sky and eliminated. If you're playing in lobbies with less skilled players, you should be fine. Another common issue is that sometimes if you're too close to an enemy with a perk, you'll rift into the sky as well. It's ridiculous! At first I thought it was pretty useful because it's an easy getaway, but smart players quickly found ways to make it less useful than it's given credit for. You can disagree with me in the comments by the way, but for me it has to be put in the D category. Medium ammo gives you increased magazine size for these types of weapons. For long-range purposes, this augment makes a massive difference between getting a kill or having to fully reload your weapon. It was used so much that Epic Games decided to nerf it, but even then, it's still one of the best perks in the game. Right now, in Chapter 4 Season 2, it sits at the very top, but does it really deserve a S tier like the others? Nah, I don't think so. A tier is the choice. Pistol Amp, granting pistols greatly increased magazine size, feel like a balanced perk at first. It does give you +7 ammo on pistols and even more on dual pistols. These weapons are very much used in the current meta of Chapter 4 Season 1. It's tough to decide if it's better than Light Fingers, but in my opinion, Pistol Amp is not as versatile. I'm adding this perk in the A category. Mechanical Archer gives you an explosive and shockwave bow. Of course, the shockwave hammer is way better than the shockwave bow, but it's still a good plan B. The explosive bow wasn't used that much by the Fortnite community, so it'll be interesting to see if this augment stick around or not. I don't personally use it that much. I believe that bow specialist perk is more handy, so I'll put it in the C category. Tactical Armory. This perk grants you a rare tactical AR and a combat shotgun. In zero build mode, this is somehow overpowered and a must-have in your inventory. The tactical AR in its current state is way more accurate than the SCAR, for example, and because the combat shotgun shoots so fast, it's very good. Even in build mode, it feels like this is a very powerful one, assuming you don't already have better guns in your loadout. I wouldn't say it belongs to S, but certainly to A. Do you agree? Rushing Reload, where sprinting will slowly reload your equipped shotgun. Hey listen, maybe it's because of my playstyle, but I don't feel like it's a must-have. Most players will reload their weapons instead of relying to a random augment. I don't like it, sorry. It has to go in the D category. Shotgun Striker. Everyone was so hyped when Shotgun Striker was added to the game and people were claiming it was overpowered. Was it really? Let's look at the facts. Depending on your choice of shotgun, you'll get between +10 and 15 HP or shields back. While the biggest advantage is that it passively does everything for you, it's not quite like the +50 HP we were getting with Siphon back in the days. I believe that's why the Fortnite community was stating it was too strong at first, because we were expecting it to do +50 from the get-go. All in all, it's a very useful augment because using a shotgun is very common, obviously, so that's why it needs to be added to A. Danger Hero lets you briefly regenerate health and gain movement speed when your shield breaks. I find it very useful as it also works as an alarm that tells you, "Hey dude, step up your game, you're about to die bro." Getting back to 100 HP without doing anything feels really special. I wish I had some gameplay footage of this, but I tried, I don't have, but trust me, it's very good, okay? It belongs to the A category. With last shots, the last 2 bullets of your pistol magazines deals bonus damage. I do not know many players who found this one helpful, and this is simply because we are trained to reload our guns a lot in Fortnite. Yes, the added bonus damage can be great in some sticky scenarios, but very rarely players will go all the way down their full magazine anyway. For me at least, last shots must be in the C category.
Like this video so the Fortnite gods will love you forever. It's not a joke.
From the Game Changer category, let's start with Rarity check. You gain Siphon on eliminations with common or uncommon weapons. When I hear Siphon, I'm sure I'm not the only one who is excited. I tried a couple of times and you're basically sacrificing a better weapon, like blue and above, to keep a bad one in the long run. It doesn't really make sense because we all know the more the game progresses, the better your loadout gets. While it can be a good perk at the beginning of matches, it doesn't provide enough value in the late stages. So that's why I'm adding this one in C. Chug Gunner gives you a chug cannon, straight up. Who resists to that temptation in any stage of game? Seriously. Even when I'm playing solo, I'll replace my 2 heal slots for the Chug Gunner almost every time. In squad, it's even more useful and OP. It's a must-have and I'm putting this one in S tier. Boom! With Mythic Munition, you'll receive a Mythic tactical pistol. Some players pointed out the fact the difference between the Mythic and the Legendary in terms of gun stats is minimal, but still no one can deny it's an overpowered weapon. You gotta remember that in the current state of the game, you basically only have 4 options from the Game Changer category, so skipping this augment feels like a loss every single time. Plus, safe to say, you will definitely have a spot in your loadout for this weapon at any point in game, either by upgrading a better pistol or by replacing another weapon. Mythic Munition belongs to the S tier, case closed. Aerialist gives you the ability to deploy your glider, just like in Team Rumble. Surprisingly, it's sitting at the very top for the favorite augments voted by the Fortnite community. I mean, what? Okay, I'll admit it's somewhat useful in some scenarios, but are you really choosing Aerialist over Mythic Munition or Chug Gunner? Imagine if you're in a squad and everyone is low on health after a fight and you select Aerialist. I mean, dude, what are you thinking? I'm surprised it's that high on the list. It's super overpowered. I'm surprised it's that high on the list. It's super overrated. It should go in the B category. In the mobility and scouting category, let's start with party time. I'm very reluctant to choose this augment in any game mode because I rarely try to do meme stuff in Fortnite. But after seeing some very creative clips with this one combined with the shockwave hammer, or someone completely up in the sky in the final 1v1 to win it all, I can say it's a cool perk. It mostly depends on what type of player you are. I mostly don't use it, but my son does. I think it belongs to the A category. With more parkour, your energy regenerates briefly after mantling or hurdling. This augment is still here in Chapter 4 Season 2 and I'm not using it that much. Is it a mistake? In my opinion, this perk could be somewhat useful to escape sticky scenarios or when engaging in fights, but mostly for zero build mode. I don't think it's very useful for build mode since most of the action will happen in close quarter combat. It's a mediocre augment, so I'm adding it in the C category. With Munition Slide, you gain medium ammo while sliding. Sounds pretty cheesy, isn't it? It works pretty well and consistently, but I just think it's so weird. Who thought about this at Epic Games? The most used ammo bullet is the medium, so considering you can farm it and share it with your team sounds like a W. It actually is a win, and this is why Munition Slide goes to A. With Bloodhound, enemies hit by your marksman rifle or bow shots are marked for a brief duration. Again, you'll need that type of weapon in your loadout to use that augment, so it does restrict its usability quite a bit. I can see Bloodhound being useful in late game arena types of endgames. On the other hand, for casual players, you will usually hit opponents from a far distance with these weapons, and being able to see them heal back up and almost being able to do nothing in return feels very odd. I'm very neutral towards this augment. I'm gonna put it to B. At the time of recording this, Bush Warrior is vaulted, but let's analyze it anyway. This augment lets you regenerate health and partial shields while inside large foliage. There were many cases of this perk being helpful in both main game modes. With campfires being less spread out compared to previous chapters, it's cool to have this ability heal you up quickly after being beamed or just by taking random fall damage, for example. Bush Warrior must be in A. With Treasure Hunter, nearby chests are marked for the first time you enter a named POI. Keep in mind that if you are already in the POI, when you activate this augment, the effect will not kick in. All you need to do is to go outside of it and then come back in, then you'll be able to see all the chests inside the POI. Very useful when beginning matches, but usually when you're going in popular POIs, this perk might not be your best bet because chest spawns could all be gone by the time you activate this augment. It's not a S tier perk, but definitely belongs to A. Let's be honest, the Supercharged augment, which increases vehicles' health and only consume fuel while boosting, is something I never choose. And yes, I did try it. The only case where it could be somewhat helpful is in trios or squads to get some diversity in the perks being used. But players will not sacrifice a perk that has a direct impact on fights versus taking Supercharged. It just doesn't make sense. This one goes to D, no doubt. With Tracked Out, apply chunkers and a cow catcher to cars when you enter them. I will apply the exact same logic I just said about the Supercharged augment. I just don't see how it's very useful in most cases. I think most players will select something with a better impact on their health, shields, or weapons. It needs to be added to D. With Forecast, you can see the next few circles. Even after the nerf a few weeks ago, the augment felt good in general. I'll admit that mobility and going to the next circles is fairly easy in Chapter 4 compared to Chapter 1, so it does diminish its overall value quite a bit. With Forecast, I can see a real need for endgames with tiny circles. I think this one fits in the B category. When the storm changes, Storm Mark will ping the area to highlight nearby enemies for a short duration. It acts exactly like after capturing a flag in a POI. When you're beginning the matches, the area pinged feels quite small, so you probably won't get much luck with it. But when the circles are getting small, this augment shines. Storm Mark is great, it's one of the best from the mobility and scouting category. That's why I've added it to S. Yeah. With Soaring sprints, you'll jump much higher and with lower gravity while sprinting. At first I thought it was pretty useful to not take fall damage, for example, but after a few games I realized it was not really worth it. I'll add that it was also a big distraction sometimes when engaging in sweaty build fights, because I was forgetting I had the perk and all of a sudden you're floating for a few seconds in the air. And then you become an easy target. Soaring sprints should go in C. Zero Chance temporarily gives you the 0 point dash when you break an enemy's shield. Most of the time when I add it on, I didn't realize the effect was granted, so I was not using it properly. After focusing and using it for good use, I could see many ways how effective it is. And that applies for Zero build and build mode. In this category, Zero Chance is a very solid and should be at the top, that's why I'm putting it in S. With Shadow Striker, you have a chance to find shadow bombs in containers you open. Let's repeat, it says you have a chance. That means it doesn't guarantee you'll get it. That's a huge turnoff because most of the perks give you something straight up, not this one. Also, how often are you likely to drop any weapon or heal for shadow bombs in the current meta? Probably never. Shadow Striker belongs to D, plain and simple. Icy Slide gives you an icy speed boost while sliding. In most cases, it's a perk for memes, right? When playing more seriously, it's very rare you'll ever want this augment to be chosen. It should definitely be at the bottom of this mobility category, so it goes to D. With Jelly Angler, you'll receive a fishing rod which you can use to fish jellyfishes only. This augment is very situational in the sense that you have to be near lakes or rivers to have a real reason to grab this augment. Also, with the immense number of heals and shields added in Chapter 4, I'm sure you'll be just fine searching for these types of items anywhere else on the map. Jelly Angler is not great, it needs to go to C. With Peely's Plunder, you'll receive a treasure map that will lead you to a buried treasure. What's inside, you're asking? Great loot! You'll get guaranteed epic weapons or better and added heals. Sounds like a great deal to me. The only issue is sometimes the treasure chest is inside the storm, so at this point it's useless when that happens. Very solid pick for Peely's Plunder, it deserves an A. With Splash Mythic, you have a chance to find Chug Splash in every container you open. It's not a given you'll receive the item, so because it's based on luck, it considerably reduces its value. Yes, it's very helpful to find Chug Splashes for yourself and your teammates, but you're never getting more than one when opening the chest. Also, in later stages of the game, this augment feels pretty useless, so I'm gonna put it at C tier. With Slap Surplus, you find an additional slap juice in every treasure chest you open. Yes, in every chest. So it's already better than Splash Mythic because the odds of spawning are 100%. The downside is the fact slap juices are not shareable with teammates like Chug Splashes, but it gives you +5 shield or HP compared to the other one. Like we said earlier, the more the game advances, the less the perk becomes relevant, so I'm gonna put it to B this time. With Harvester, foliage objects you destroy drop big bush bombs and forageables. This perk is another good way to find heals quickly, even though it's not the best healing items in the game. I did not find many players who were using that perk, but I think it's underrated, especially if you play in a squad. I think this one should go in B. Yup. Keymaster grants you 2 keys to open hollow chests. These types of chests usually offer you epic or legendary loot, and most of the items require 1 key to activate. You're basically getting 2 very great weapons when you take this augment, so it's a good deal. In fact, it's an insane deal in my opinion, so put Keymaster in the S tier, it's a must-have perk. Dumpster diving lets you spawn loot nearby when leaving hiding places. It seems to be only working for dumpsters though, so it limits its availability quite a bit. The description says hiding places, so it doesn't apply to large foliage or bushes, for example. What you'll get is ammo and minis. I don't believe you can get weapons with this perk. If it does, let me know in the comments, by the way. It's not a good augment, honestly. I'm adding it in D tier.
3 reasons to subscribe to Churko's channel. 1. I do shorts, live streams, and long form videos. 2. The content is about the item shop and cosmetics in Fortnite. And 3. It's free to do!
To check out my other tier list episodes from the item shop, click here, and also here all of the winning umbrellas. Bye!